being hosted there, and we will be getting back to it in a bit just to see how some of the issues are being tackled. Remember, some things that will feature prominently are the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation report. But if you wanted to see the live proceedings of that particular summit, you can switch on to our KTN home channel, where we are bringing you proceedings live on that particular channel. But here in Wildview at this point, let's take a look at some of the stories that have been given priority on the press. And joining us in studio now is Trix Ngado to help us look at that. Good morning, Trix. It's a pink affair today.
I know, it's a pink and blue affair.
Yeah.
So we're starting off with the East African, that's focusing on Africa's relation to the results that came out of the U.S. election.
Of course, it's still topic of discussion.
So at the beginning of this article, they're focusing on how Uganda is going to relate to this development. So we had Donald Trump earlier saying that he was going to clamp down on long-serving long-serving African president, and you remember Yoweri Museveni told him to mind America's business and leave Africa alone. So now he's president, and now we're facing a situation where Uganda has to figure out how to work with this
books.
Exactly with the U.S. President Donald Trump. It's still very strange coming out of my mouth.
You can say U.S. President Barack, and then you say U.S. President Donald Trump.
Oh, okay. So the headline for that is Uganda caught off guard as Rwanda praises people first politics. So while Uganda is facing an awkward position with trying to deal with how they're going to work with that President Donald Trump, Rwanda is actually lauding the election of Donald Trump. They say, you remember that Barack Obama had criticized Paul Kagame for actually staying in power, but they maintained that this is the people's wish, and they're saying this is the same thing that actually happened in the U.S., that the election of Donald Trump was the people's wish, and therefore they're lauding it. So two contrasting situations there.
It brings lessons on just how you need to play your cards right during the campaign period, because you never know who will take the seat.
The seat, and of course we all know the U.S. elections, whoever leads the U.S., whatever happens, it will still affect the entire world.
Either
because
way,
America is the superpower. Yes. Then we're having other stories there. Kenya to continue South Sudan peace search. They're taking a look at, even despite the removal of the soldiers from that country, Kenya is still going to be playing a part in trying to find peace in South Sudan, so that East Africa can find at least be in a very good place economically and in terms of peace. Then we're having drought hit Somalia, appeals for help. Somalia, a lot of times we look at the kind of problems that Somalia face, and we only focus on the conflict. But a lot of people who move out of Somalia trying to find a better refuge in other countries are also running away from the harsh climate and the fact that there's not much food there. There's food scarcity and water scarcity, even though a lot of this is contributed by the unavailability of peace in Somalia. Because without peace, people can't, partake in agriculture. You just make a living, make food, make things like that. Then you're having Rwanda's plans to investigate French soldiers. These have been decade-long accusations that French soldiers actually partook in the genocide by training some of the militants that aided in the killing of hundreds of thousands, almost a million Tutsis in that genocide that took place in 1994. So this debacle is still going on, and they have been covering this for a long while, and we'll be knowing what happens, what they come out with from this investigation is going to be very interesting to see France's reaction after this investigation is done, and what comes out of this kind of investigation, which it has been a thorny issue because it has caused a diplomatic row between Rwanda and France in the past few weeks. Then we have another paper there. Let's take a look at the next paper, which is African News, focusing on what's happening immigration. So given that they're saying that climate change is going to contribute to Africans moving out of the country and trying to just make more find better or greener pastures across the seas. So African migration expected to rise due to accelerated climate change. So this conflict is usually a huge reason why people leave the continent. There are other, but like we've been taking a look at Somalia, when there's a lot of drought, there's no food, there's things like that, people tend to want to look for better pastures.
Some situation in South Sudan.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Then there's more, 2 Rwandan genocide suspects extradited. So that's Rwanda is still making headlines on that front. And there's a lot on what's happening in the economy. Fallen Nigerian soldiers are being honored by advocacy group Bring Back Our Girls. Just taking a look at the war against Boko Haram and the lives that are being lost on that front. So these soldiers are being honored for their efforts. And then U.S. to fast-track climate agreement before Trump takes over. Very interesting, because Trump has not been very for the allegations of climate change is actually a huge issue. So I think they're trying
everyone is rushing against time before he gets into office.
Yeah, exactly, because once he gets into office, things like climate change are going to be put on the back burner. So yeah, they're trying to just make it before he gets into office officially in January. Then there's another paper right there, the African Business paper, that is focusing on the economical issues in Africa.
That's the next paper.
Yeah, the next paper right there. It's focusing on what's happening in Africa in terms of our ability to make money and the challenges the continent is facing. And a huge story right now is Angola. They have been having historical events. So it's a brief outline of Angola's history. And we know that our history just culminates into our present day situations economically. Then give Trump the benefit of the doubt. So this is what African presidents have been saying. They're saying, despite us not being surprised by the election of Donald Trump and what this may imply, they're saying that some African leaders are saying that we need to give him the benefit of the doubt. It might just turn out to be good for Africa. Who knows? Exactly. Only time could tell with that. And then you're having investing in Africa's healthcare system is rather crucial. And then Tanzania should reject EU free deal, MPs say. So we know this deal has caused a lot of problems because we know Rwanda and not really Rwanda. I think it's Rwanda and Kenya signed the EU free trade deal, while Tanzania and Uganda said they're not for it because it might just injure their economies. So there's still that push and pull. But MPs in Tanzania are saying that this needs to be put on hold. So it was expected by October that this would have been ratified, but it's still happening. It's still being stalled, and MPs clearly from that headline are not for that peace deal. Then Trump's victory sparks African concern, of course, in terms of trade and our relations and the deportation now of 3 million illegal immigrants.
Africans are a worried lot.
Yes, I know, because I'm sure we make a huge part of that demographic that's going to be thrown out.
When you talk about immigrants, the first thing you think about is Africans.
Yeah, because we really contribute to that mass exodus towards the West. Then clash of visions in Trump's White House team. So GOP insider Priebus and combative Bannon represent opposing forces. So Bannon is the head of a conservative media outlet, while Priebus is the head of the Republican Party. So these people have been put at the helm of the Trump administration in the White House.
It's an interesting
combination there. And of course, we'll expect diverging perspectives on how things should be handled. But these are the latest and I think the very first of Trump's major, appointments in his administration, which is going to be interesting to see how they come together, if they'll work together very smoothly. Then we're having the next paper right there, which is the Al Jazeera paper, rather website, and Trump gives clues to strategy with the first appointments. Same story right there. They're trying to look at how this implies what he's going to do in the future. Then Trump to deport 3 million immigrants. Of course, that what we were saying earlier, this is going to cause a lot of worries. And South Africa's minister linked to rhino trafficker. So it's very unfortunate that leaders in Africa are being linked to this problem, this scourge.
The one thing everyone is trying to fight against.
Exactly, yeah. So that's going to be really awkward for that leader to deal with, and of course, not a very good place to be in as a leader. Trump makes 2 key appointments. That's the same issue that's been, I think with the foreign papers, this has been a huge, story right there. His first appointments and how they expected these 2 people to be working together right there after Trump takes office and the ball gets rolling on the Trump administration.
All right. That's all we had. Thank you very much, Trix, for that. Of course, we are taking a look at some of the stories that have been given priority by the international papers and some from the continent as well. Thank you very much, Trix, for that. At this point, we'll take a short commercial break. Do not go too far. We still have a lot lined up for you here on Worldview. Coming up, Lewis Hamilton makes a grand finish, winning the Brazilian Grand Prix.
This is KTN News.